Oh, hey guys, I've missed you. Have you missed me? Let's work on that, shall we? I've been doing some thinking over the past couple of weeks. I think we just need a fresh start completely. I love what I do for YouTube and I love what I do for you guys, but I need to restructure things. So, moving forward, this is what I'm going to do. Every month, I'm going to release one episode of Steely's Corner. The numbered episodes that are 25 to 40 minutes long, where the characters and everybody interacts and all that crazy stuff happens. Yeah, 4 different segments. You know what I'm talking about. That's happening once a month. But in the weeks in between, we're going to have a bunch of shorter videos, smaller videos, more concise and specific ones. I'm going to do random movie reviews. Yes, I know I promised that before, but I've actually written a couple. I'm also going to be introducing a new segment for the channel called Steely's Quickies. Basically, just top 10 lists. Top 10 lists of things that I absolutely love and adore and enjoy. I'm actually going to do one right after I get done this little spiel. And yes, I'm going to finally start doing pay-per-view reviews. But I know you're probably asking yourselves, what about the other characters? Those guys aren't going absolutely anywhere. They're going to pop in all over the place because I know that's what most of you come here for. Because there's really no use for little old me. Oh, come on. I know you guys come here for Terry. You do. And Jokester, and AJ and his cocaine, and Ed Pool and his snarky quips. So here we go, guys. My first Steely's Quickie. My top 10 favorite movies of all time. This list has been making me almost want to beat my head against a wall. And with good reason, because there's a million freaking movies out there that I love and I adore, and compiling them down to a list of 10 almost seemed impossible. Now, I did do it with a few honorable mentions. Now, my list has 8 honorable mentions for 2 reasons. One reason is because it's my damn show and I can do whatever I want to. And number 2, all of these movies had spent time on this list as I was rewriting it and rewriting it. I just felt compelled that I absolutely had to mention them, so deal with it. So my honorable mentions are as follows. Horrible Bosses, The Princess Bride, 8 Mile, Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, Ghostbusters, Aladdin, Running Scared, and Training Day. With the honorable mentions out of the way, let's get down to my top 10. Number 10, True Romance. A Quentin Tarantino written movie, and you can tell from the very beginning. And don't let the title of the movie completely sway you if you've never seen it before. True Romance is a gritty, hardcore, hard-boiled crime, drama, thriller, action, everything. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie without him being behind the director's chair. Starring Christian Slater and Patricia Arquette, these two are star-crossed lovers that meet by chance. Christian Slater is a, ne'er-do-well working at a comic book shop. Patricia Arquette is a prostitute that Christian Slater's boss buys for him for his birthday. They fall in love and she says, I want to be with you, but I need my stuff back from my pimp. Christian Slater goes to see her pimp, played by Gary Oldman, and when he leaves the establishment with what he thinks is her luggage, turns out to be a suitcase full of cocaine. Then everybody and their mother are after these two. The cops are after them. Then the mafia's after them, which include Christopher Walken and James Gandolfini. Even Christian Slater's daddy, Dennis Hopper, could not save them. And it all goes to hell in a crazy, bloody shootout. This movie is everything. If you haven't seen it, check it out. True Romance. Number 9, The Shawshank Redemption. Oh my god. Anytime this movie is on, it doesn't matter if it's 11 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night. If it's on, I'm watching it. This movie just taught me about frickin' life. The Shawshank Redemption takes a man named Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, who is falsely accused for the murder of his wife and his wife's lover, and sent to Shawshank Prison, where he meets his new best friend for the next coming decades, Red, played by Morgan Freeman. I mean, his voice is like wiping your ass with silk. Anyway, the two of them share a bond going through the different trials and tribulations of prison life until they figure out that they're just pretty much living shitty pipe dreams. Until Andy decides to do something about that. I'm not going to spoil it. I know it's an old movie, but Shawshank Redemption, it's almost a perfect movie. Number 8, The Dark Knight. Superhero territory. Okay, I love superheroes, I love superhero movies, but there is absolutely no better superhero movie from beginning to end as a complete picture than The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger's performance, Oscar worthy, oh my god. Even though it was posthumous, some people say that he got that Oscar because he died. No, that man deserves it. Yes, Jack Nicholson was a great Joker. Jared Leto got his second try, did fantastic. Heath Ledger's Joker is everything. It was one of the only series of superhero movies that was grounded in so much reality that you could almost taste it. It made sense. The science made sense. Everything about it. It was a definitive Batman story that could actually happen in today's world if there was a billionaire out there with a heart of gold like Bruce Wayne and an insane maniac that just wanted to watch the world burn like Heath Ledger. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Fantastic. Number 7, Pulp Fiction and Back to the Future. Yeah, okay, I know I'm kind of breaking the rules here, but the two of these movies I couldn't choose between, and I couldn't do it. Pulp Fiction, yes, Quentin Tarantino makes his way back on this list, is the ultimate ensemble cast of just craziness, nostalgia, swagger, and just, it's all put together. You've got John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson with Uma Thurman, Bruce Willis, Vin Rames. I mean, the list goes on and on. Steve Buscemi. Everybody is everybody that is moving around. It's crazy. It is a hard-boiled crime drama that you didn't even see coming. And just the way that the dialogue flows off and scene from scene and the way that it's shot out of order and you're trying to put the puzzle together, it is such a classic and such a great movie. It can never be touched. Pulp Fiction is an American classic and a piece of cinema history. And then on the other hand, it's totally equivalent, Back to the Future. Good God, Marty McFly. Okay, Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox take us on a thrill ride. Have you ever wondered what your parents were like when they were younger? Would you be friends with your parents if you were the same age growing up? Well, those are the questions that get asked in this movie. It is insane. It is a fantasy thrill ride for the whole family from beginning to end. It keeps your interest, and it's just so magical the way that they tie absolutely everything together with a little bit of cheesy 80s nostalgia's pop. It is phenomenal. Watch Back to the Future. For my number 6 pick, I'm gonna let Peter Griffin tell you what my number 6 pick is. Peter?
Oh my God, Roadhouse! Roadhouse. Roadhouse.
Ow!
Roadhouse.
That's right, Roadhouse. If you've never seen Roadhouse, get ready, baby. You get Patrick Swayze, Sam Elliott, and even a little bit of Keith David with frickin' Terry Funk all mixed in together. It is a wild, crazy, bar-brawling movie. You get Patrick Swayze with his beautiful, feathered mullet going to different towns. Well, you only get to see 2 in the movie, but basically, he's the greatest bouncer of all time. In this terminology, he's known as a cooler. He learned everything he knows from Sam Elliott. And the two of them go to a town in the middle of nowhere to clean up a bar for this guy who is running scared from this other man named Wesley that is taking over the town. Monster trucks, explosions, naked women, bar fights, gunshots. It is an adrenaline-filled man's man movie from the 80s. It is simply known as
Roadhouse.
Wait, why are you taking the back way home? There are so many turns.
Roadhouse. Roadhouse. Roadhouse.
number 5. Captain America Civil War. The MCU has given me so many movies that I absolutely love, and I will stand here with my hand raised as a testament to say that I have seen every single MCU movie in the theater. But this one takes the cake for me above all. The sheer anticipation of the movie and the fact that when I sat down and watched it in the theater with my stepfather, both of us were just glued to the screen. It was everything that we loved about these movies all rolled into one. The suspense, the drama, the action, the cameos, the new characters being introduced. This is when the world was introduced to Tom Holland's Spider-Man and introduced to Black Panther. It was amazing. Chadwick Boseman did such a great job. May he rest in peace. Oh my God, this movie was everything to me. The only two Avengers that the movie was missing was Thor and Hulk, and then we found out what happened to them the next year in Thor Ragnarok, which is another epic movie that just barely didn't make it onto this list. But Captain America Civil War just sticks with me. If somebody says, hey, you want to watch a Marvel movie? It's the first one that I go for because it's an Avengers movie without being an Avengers movie. It's got heart, it's got soul, it's got class, it's got the backstory, and you could have only really enjoyed this movie if you watched the movies before it, but at the same time, you could still sit down and watch it and enjoy it as a standalone movie because it introduces the characters, or reintroduces them, should I say. It just gives you a vibe that you've been part of something that's bigger than the movie is itself. And it still leaves you with a beautiful cliffhanger that ties in beautifully to the MCU. You gotta give the Russo brothers a big hand for weaving such a beautiful web of a story. Bravo, gentlemen. You got me. Number 4, The Long Kiss Goodnight. Do you like espionage? Do you like suspense? Do you like amnesia? Do you like Geena Davis? Well, you're in luck because I have just the movie for you. Geena Davis plays Samantha Kane, a woman who wakes up on a beach with amnesia and she is pregnant with child. Next thing you know, she starts hiring all these different detectives to try to piece together the parts of her puzzled past. Turns out Geena Davis is actually someone known as Charlie Baltimore, which is the most deadly counter-assassin in the entire United States of America. And now her old team is back to try to wipe her out. So her and Samuel L. Jackson try to save her daughter and foil a plot from these horrible terrorists from committing an unspeakable act on Christmas Eve. It is Die Hard with a woman. It is a femme fatale to die for. Geena Davis is amazing in this movie, and was said that this was Samuel L. Jackson's favorite role he ever played. So if a guy who's been in over 200 movies says this is his favorite film, I know I picked a good one. And if you haven't seen The Long Kiss Goodnight, you should definitely check it out. Don't let the title fool you. Number 3, Spaceballs and The Naked Gun. Okay, so maybe it's a top 12 list, but hear me out. I couldn't put Pulp Fiction and Back to the Future together and not put Spaceballs and The Naked Gun together. And here's why. Spaceballs is a Mel Brooks classic that's got an all-star cast. Mel Brooks, Bill Pullman, Rick Moranis, John Candy. It was my childhood. It was spoofing one of my favorite film franchises, which is Star Wars. The movie is just a non-stop laugh a minute. Joan Rivers as a frickin' robot, making fun of the word Druish like it was Jewish, but it's funny. I can't take this movie. I still, to this day, laugh out loud when the guys are in the desert with the Afro pick said that they didn't find shit.
What about you guys? We ain't found shit.
And then on the other hand, you have Leslie Nielsen, a guy who was known for being a straight-laced, very serious, hard-nosed actor, becomes the most aloof, moronic lieutenant in police history in The Naked Gun. He plays Lieutenant Frank Drebin, who is assigned to protect Queen Elizabeth while she comes to the United States, specifically in Los Angeles, for her American tour. And with that, the frickin' guy from Fantasy Island plans to assassinate her. And that's the plot. O.J. Simpson gets shot. Well, that's a switch for him. And as this cast goes on and on, it is laugh after laugh after laugh a minute. And who can forget when Leslie Nielsen almost sexually assaulted someone with a concrete phallus? It's a film for the whole family. Number 2, The Lost Boys. Finally starting to hone in on some horror for you guys, we get The Lost Boys. Now, if you've been a fan of this show, I reviewed this movie in detail in episode 5, but just a recap. You get both the Coreys from the 80s, Corey Feldman and Corey Haim, Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland, and just a smattering of 80s teen heartthrobs that go from vampires to children to just, it is wonderful with its 80s nostalgia and throwback. It's got some memorable scenes and kills, and all of this was brought to us by the man that almost killed Batman and superhero movies as we know it, Mr. Joel Schumacher. But just, God, I love this movie. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. Vampires and Billy Idol and just, But it's not my favorite movie. I could only be talking about the SpongeBob movie. Oh, sorry. Masters of the Universe. I'm kidding. It's terrible. I'm so bad. Brokeback Mountain. No, it's not. Malibu's Most Wanted. This is the historical graphic of my life. Me in high school. No, I'm just kidding. It's My Big Fat Greek Way. I hate this movie. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3, The Dream Warriors. Freddy frickin' Krueger at his frightening frickin' best. Brother! Robert Englund returns as Freddy Krueger for the 3rd time, bringing along former castmates Heather Langenkamp returning as Nancy Thompson and John Saxon returning as her father Donald Thompson as they join a new cast of Elm Street survivors, including but not limited to Patricia Arquette and Lawrence Fishburne. It takes place inside of an insane asylum where children are being kept because they keep claiming that they're having horrible dreams and they're afraid to sleep. As the story starts to unravel with the return of Nancy giving the backstory for our titular dream stalker, it turns out that all of these children are connected because their parents were a part of the mob that killed Freddy Krueger way back in the day. So now they are the last of the Elm Street children. This is the movie where Freddy hit his peak. He was still dark and evil and scary, but started to become slightly funny. The one-liners started to trickle out, and the most amazing line that had ever come out of Freddy's mouth was actually improvised by Robert Englund, all being, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." You can't hate this movie. If you're a fan of horror movies, if you're a fan of cinema, want to watch a scary movie, it's Halloween, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, you want to get a little bit of creep on, put in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. It is by far, in my heart, the greatest movie I have ever seen. And I know, yes, there's so many movies out there, but this is just my opinion. But this movie speaks to me. I love it. It is near and dear to my heart, and I will watch it on repeat if I possibly could. I've worn out the DVD in my box set so much that I've had to buy a separate disc of just that movie because the original one won't play. Out of all the Freddy movies, out of all the horror movies, out of all movies, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors is my favorite. That was my First Steely Quickie. What did you think? Yes, I know our friends didn't interrupt on this one, but I wanted to go solo just to show you guys that I can still be funny without them. But yes, they will be around and they will be popping in quite a bit in the future. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can all help geek culture come to life. And stay tuned for more quickies, for pay-per-view reviews, for random movie reviews, and for episode 15 of Steely's Corner titled Zombie, What's in Your Head. As always, be good to each other. I love you. Peace!